There's like no one here. I freaking love it. Have you ever noticed that the romance sections of our biggest bookstores almost never highlight books by Black authors? Even I feel like I'm fed less romance novels by Black authors than I am white authors. So I had this great novel idea to take the next couple of weeks to catch up on some of the well-known romance novels by Black authors. And I'm excited. You know the drill. Grab a coffee, charge up your Kindle, light your reading candle, and let's do it. I'll be making a trip to Barnes, binge reading these books, and of course, sharing my thoughts and recommendations. All spiced out. I don't like him. It's dual point of view. I thought our author just like turned on us. Men don't speak like that. Collection is complete. Period, because she's rude. We're starting off very strong with the third and final book in the Skyland series by Kennedy Ryan. This was just released in May, and I actually got to hear from Miss Ryan and myself on release day. Good morning, friends. I just started Can't Get Enough last night, and I got 52 pages in. That is the prologue and the first 5 chapters. So I wanted to share my first impressions. So if you didn't already know, this is the third book in the Skyland series by Kennedy Ryan. So the first one is Before I Let Go, and the second one is This Could Be Us. I read both of those. This one just came out, and it is about the third friend in this friend group of 3 women. This is Hendrix Berry's story. So from what it says on the back, Hendrix Berry lives a fabulous life. She has phenomenal friends, a loving family, and a thriving business that places her in the entertainment industry's rarefied air. Your vision board, she's probably living it. She's a woman with goals, dreams, ambitions, always striving upward. And in the midst of everything, she's facing her toughest challenge yet, caring for an aging parent. So we've learned about Hendrix in the other 2 books, in that she is kind of living her best life. She's single, she doesn't have any kids, she doesn't want any kids, she has a great business, she makes a lot of money, like she's doing her thing. In the prologue, she goes back home from Atlanta to, where does her mom live? I don't know where her mom lives, but she goes to visit her mom for Christmas Eve dinner and finds the house all out of order. Food's burning, like the door was left open, the garage was open with her mom's nice car just sitting there. So she's like, okay, this is weird. And obviously she knows her mom was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, but she's been okay. There hasn't been any issues like this before. And her next door neighbor, who's also her best friend, has kind of been taking care of her. And so Hendrix is like, okay, my mom's not here. There's food burning. What the heck? She goes next door, or she tries to go next door, and the neighbor's house is empty. She then learns that this neighbor has recently died, and her mom like didn't tell her. And she gets a call from the police. Hey, we found your mom. Like, come pick her up. So, yeah. We're starting off very heavy. Hendrix is gonna get some help from her aunt to take care of her mom, but she knows that like eventually something is gonna have to give. But that's just the prologue. And so like I said, I read the first 5 chapters. So I have heard a little bit from our male main character as well, Maverick. Basically, they meet at an all-white party that is hosted at his house. Him and his girlfriend throw this every year. The girlfriend works with one of Hendrix's clients, so that's kind of how she's there and how she has connection to them. And she doesn't realize at first who she's talking to when she meets Maverick. Then she's like, oh, okay, this is the billionaire whose house I'm at, whose girlfriend I need to keep on my good side. However, when we hear from Maverick, we learn that him and the girlfriend actually secretly broke up like a month ago, and they're going to announce it tomorrow after this big all-white party that everyone's been looking forward to. So he's actually single, and he actually is attracted to Hendrix. And they also have something to connect on because his grandfather passed of Alzheimer's, so he like understands, and he has like the knowledge about it, things that worked for them when his family was going through all of that. And he says to her that no meeting is by chance. So it was fate that they met each other this night. So that's where I'm at. I'm excited to see kind of what happens from here after the all-white party. Everything with Maverick breaking up with his girlfriend. If Hendrix starts seeing him, how is this gonna affect her work relationships? Very interested. I do wanna say though, something about Kennedy Ryan. When I was going in to start this, I was like, I wonder how she's gonna start it off, because the way that she gives background information, like you forget that you're in the prologue just getting background information, because I don't remember exactly how This Could Be Us started, but I remember being blown away and just being like, wow, like why did I wait this long to start it? I can't even describe what it is, but something about how she sets up the story and like gives background information, it just really like hooks me and gets me invested in what's gonna happen. Somehow I do remember Before I Let Go, which is the very first one, The prologue was like Yasmin and Josiah in college, I think, and this was like when he knew that he wanted to marry her. But in that book, they're actually already divorced. So anyway, getting into a tangent, but basically I love the way that she sets up a story. So 52 pages in, and I'm excited to keep going. It is Memorial Day weekend, so I'm hoping to get a lot of reading done this weekend. Halfway. It's technically 419 pages, and this chapter starts on 202, so I'm not exactly 50%, but basically I think I could finish by tomorrow because I'm eating it up. It's kind of giving slow burn because, like I said, I'm at the halfway point and they're still, I wouldn't say this is a spoiler, but they're currently on their very first outing, just the two of them, but they're just friends. Basically, we've learned a lot more about Hendrix and her beliefs on like not wanting kids, prioritizing herself and what she wants in her career and all of that. We have heard about Yasmin and Soledad from Before I Let Go and This Could Be Us. Love to hear about them. I will say though that there's a lot of characters in this. They're not important, but there's just a lot of names that I'm like Hendrix and Maverick both have assistants, and then they have like clients and things like that, and then obviously they're friends, so sometimes that's a lot to keep track of. But I did mention Maverick's ex, or soon to be ex, previously, and one thing that stuck out to me was after they break up, Hendrix is talking to her and she thinks to herself, it's crazy that the ex thought that Maverick would choose her over his own happiness, because they kind of broke up because she wanted to have kids and he didn't. And Hendrix completely understands that, obviously, because she's in the same boat. But his ex-girlfriend thought like she could change him. Obviously, Hendrix and Maverick are very aligned on things like that. Also, since Hendrix has a work relationship with Maverick's ex, they obviously like cannot start anything. They have to they shouldn't have very much of a relationship at all, but they do have a little bit of business together, so their relationship has to be strictly professional. So it's very funny because it's dual point of view, so we're getting her chapters and his chapters, and to hear from both of them that they both like are trying not to reach out to the other one, very clearly like each other, but they're just like, that's not allowed, and also they're like think that it's one-sided. I am scarred from reading Emily Henry when I did the Emily Henry vlog, and all of her books she used the word guffawed like a million times. I think there was like 4 in 2 of the books and 2 in one of the books, and on page 120 I got a guffaw in this book and it broke my heart. I don't know why I have a problem with that word. I think it's fine when it's once in a book, but the 4 and Emily Henry's really took me out, and now I just am traumatized by that word. So I had to point that out, that was in here. One thing that I've noticed about Kennedy Ryan's reading style, because again, this is my 3rd book by her, I also have Real saved on my Kindle, because I think it was on Kindle Unlimited, so I downloaded that. We'll be reading that in the future, not in this vlog though, because I just wanted to include multiple authors in this vlog, so only doing one Kennedy Ryan. But anyway, something I've noticed about her writing is that she goes so deep into detail about like everything that somebody's doing, not in just like their actions of like, oh, I'm getting dressed and doing this and doing that, but in like what they like, what they're watching. She just said something about Hendrix glass skin routine, putting on her eye mask, like the deep conditioner on her hair. She talks about like shows that we would all recognize. She talks about things that like we would know. She talks about AI. What else does she talk about? I don't know, but I kind of have a love-hate relationship with it. But I think now that I took these notes like maybe 100 pages ago, and I think I'm leaning more towards the love of the hate the love-hate relationship because I feel like I'm there and I'm so close to the characters and I can understand everything that they're doing and why they're doing it and what it's like because it's relatable to me, which is why I love reading books by Black authors, romance books specifically by Black authors, because I can relate, obviously. But sometimes some of the stuff can be like a little too much or a little bit cheesy, but I also kind of love it. But with the references and things like that, it's clear that she does a lot of research on the interests and hobbies and the careers that the characters have. And I heard her talk about this when I went to the event on the release day for this book a couple weeks ago. She talked about how she does so much research and that takes up, I forget what percentage she said. She may have said like 60 or 70% of the process of writing a book for her is the research that she does prior to even sitting on her laptop and typing up the book. She said she takes master classes in certain things so that she really has a deep understanding of the things that her characters do. And I think that very clearly shows in her writing. I feel it more so in Maverick's character because he had an app that he sold. He does a lot of investments, so she talks about like risk and stuff like that. And also he's buying a basketball team, and so she talks a lot about that, and it's just very clear that she has done her research and her characters are fully developed. But like I said, halfway and they're still not together, so it's giving slow burn, but I feel like right where I am, something's about to go down because like I said, they're on their first outing, just the two of them. But Maverick has just started to sort of come to terms with his feelings and he is very clearly obsessed and is starting to be a little bit more pushy, and he knows that Hendrix is not going to put her career and her work relationships at risk because her work relationship with his ex is very important for her like best client, and he knows that she's not going to risk that, so he kind of has to figure out how to convince her, I guess, that they should be together. So we're gonna see how that goes, but I'm excited. I think it's about to get really good. It's already been good, but I fear we're at a turning point. Guys, it's actually been like, it's been at least 2 days, if not 3, since I filmed anything, but I did finish Can't Get Enough. So now my collection is complete. How exciting. So the last time we talked, I was halfway, I think. So yes, I have notes on the full second half of the book. The first thing I wrote is Hendrix has given in, with this little emoji, LOL. So basically the whole second half of the book, they finally get together. Obviously Hendrix has given in. A little bit of long distance because of her mom's illness, and then also some work issues, which I won't spoil, but it's because of the work relationship that Hendrix has with Maverick's ex, which we knew was gonna happen. I mean, that was the whole reason she was hesitant to start something with him anyway. So we just kind of see them navigate all of that, and we see her kind of lean into her soft girl era and just like, you know, leaning on him, asking for help, or not even asking for help, but just accepting the help that he is trying to give her, things like that. Something that stuck out to me was Maverick's dad bringing up the idea to Maverick of if Hendrix wanted kids, which she doesn't, but if she did, would he consider that for her? He like has to stop and think about that because he, with his last relationship, he was very much like, no, like I already have a kid, like I don't want to start all over, like I don't want to do that. And his ex-girlfriend wanted that, and he was like, well, I'm not gonna do that just because you want it. But with Hendrix, he stops to actually consider it, hypothetically, because again, that's not what she wants, but his dad brings it up and he's like, wow, like maybe I do actually have different, very special feelings for her because I would even consider that if it was something that she wanted. So I like that little conversation that he had with his dad. I won't spoil the ending, but I will say that it's not exactly like happily ever after. I mean, nothing bad happens, like they're fine, but I'm just saying it's still very much that they will continue to navigate all of the problems that they come across together, and I kind of liked that. I did see on social media someone was saying that this was the best epilogue ever, and so I was excited to read it and was very happy. It was very much giving a happy epilogue. But I liked how also connects back to somebody else from one of the previous Skyline books. That was nice to see. I really enjoyed it. And I just love Kennedy Ryan's writing. Like I was saying, I have a little bit of a love-hate relationship with how much detail she goes into, but there's nothing left misunderstood and everything just makes sense, and it's like I can relate. And I've also realized with her books, because I started the next book already, but we'll get to that, I've realized that I never like black out and like miss a paragraph. Do you ever do that when you're reading where you're like, hold on, what just happened? Or like, especially at night when I'm tired, in the morning I'll be like, I have absolutely no idea what I read. I don't feel that with Kennedy Ryan's writing. I don't know why, but I'm just locked in. I can't get distracted with my thoughts of like, oh, tomorrow morning I need to make sure that I do this. Like, I'm just locked in. I would say 5 stars. I mean, I literally have nothing bad to say. I mean, it wasn't life-changing for me, so maybe like 4.5, but this was a good one. As you saw, immediately after I finished that, I started my next read, which is going to be on the Kindle. It is When I Think of You by Ariel. This has been on my TBR for a while because I was just like kind of seeing it everywhere. I had it on my holds on Libby for quite some time, and perfect timing, it was finally ready. It's 357 pages, and again, it's been days since I last filmed When I Finished Can't Get Enough and started this, and I'm only on page 108. I don't know, I've been struggling. I've just been really tired, but I have some first thoughts because I'm 108 pages in now. So our main character is, I've actually have never even read the summary, so I had no idea what this was about, what their relationship was, none of that. I didn't even know their names. But Kalia is in like her mid-20s. She's in film. She lives in LA. She's currently like an assistant at a big like production company. She like works front desk and kind of does all the like, you know, intern tasks, like all the stuff that nobody wants to do, and they like really overwork her, but then they like treat her like she's invisible, that type of vibe. What she describes as her college entanglement is, what is his name? Danny. His name's Danny. And he is more successful as a filmmaker. One, because he's good at his job, but also his father was like a famous filmmaker. And I think his dad was white, actually. Pretty sure. I think that's actually a whole like major theme in the book. So yes, his dad was white. They went to college together. He was a senior when she was a freshman. She hasn't seen him in 7 years. So like since her freshman year, I guess. But anyway, he walks into her job with his beautiful actress girlfriend on his arm. Because I guess his next film is going to be produced with the company that she works with, I guess. So obviously she's like shocked to see him, you know, whatever. But he ends up offering her like a job to be his director's assistant on this next movie because they worked together on his thesis in college, and he loved the work that she did on his film because she's good at what she does. Obviously, the movie that he's making is about his parents' relationship, their interracial relationship. So again, his dad was indeed white, and his dad actually passed away. He's making this movie about his parents, and he wants Kalia to help because of the amazing work that she did on his thesis in college. So that's pretty much like what's happening. I don't know if there's going to be like more twists or whatever, but there also was an issue with him offering her this job and her resigning to her receptionist job because she sent her resignation, and then her boss was like, what are you talking about? Like, I literally need you to set up this desk for the girl that's actually going to be the director's assistant on this because her dad is whoever, and so we got her this job. That's kind of where I am. Danny works it out where she can still be a part of the production, helping him, whatever. I am enjoying the writing. However, like I was just saying with Kennedy Ryan's writing, there are moments where I'm like, wait, what just happened? Like I'm blanking out and I'm like, what just happened? I missed something. I have to go back. And it's so annoying when you're reading on the Kindle, because if I'm reading on a physical book and I'm like, wait, whatever happened with her mom? Like, I can just flip back and be like, okay, yes, her mom is sick, whatever. On the Kindle, like, you can, because you can, you know, get up here and go to like this page and like kind of find the pages, but it's a lot harder than in a physical book. So I'm struggling to remember what's going on. But like I said, again, I've been reading only at night and I'm like been very tired. So maybe that's a me problem. I have been highlighting a bunch of things, which I very rarely do, but I love like the metaphors that she's using. They're very simple quotes, but I love how simple and how relatable they are. Like, you wouldn't think that, like, I wouldn't think to write that because, well, first of all, I'm not a writer, I'm not an author in any sense, and I have no desire to be, but the things that she's saying is like so simple, but one wouldn't think to like write that down. Do you know what I mean? I also have been loving hearing about the filmmaking, just like their career, because I don't know much about that, but it's very clear that the author did her research. It's almost slightly giving me, what did I read? Yellowface, where we kind of got all the behind the scenes of publishing and like writing and the whole like journey for a new book to come out. It's not the main topic of this book, filmmaking, but it is obviously both of their jobs and like what they connect on. So getting a lot of fun details about like their process and stuff. I'm gonna see if I can find like one of the quotes that I was liking. How do you get to that on the Kindle? Oh, here. I wanted to read some of them because I've also been really liking the subtle flashbacks of how they met, like things that they went through, and also hearing about his parents' relationship through them discussing the movie that they're making. The first thing that I highlighted was not, well, I guess she was explaining to her best friend and roommate that Danny came to her job, and she's saying like, oh, well, we only had an entanglement, like we didn't, you know, whatever. Her friend goes, technically you guys didn't have sex though. And then Kalia, the main character, is like, who are you, Bill Clinton? And I died when I heard that, when I read that. I don't know why that one got me, but that one got me. Another thing, these are so random, but it's just so relatable. I was literally having this conversation last week when I went to St. Louis. I did a vlog before I went. We were all talking about how, why when women are driving and they have to like come to like a hard stop, why do we all do the arm? Like, why is that? Like, my mom used to do that to my older sister in the front seat. I do that to my bag, so there would be nobody in the passenger seat. And when we were all driving, we like something happened on the highway and we had to like come to a hard stop, and all of us did that. And one of the quotes, I don't remember what was happening, but she goes, her right arm juts out protectively across my chest as if the twig-like appendage could outdo an airbag. Because literally, like, what is this doing? And one of the flashbacks we get of Kalia and Danny first meeting in one of their film classes back when she was a freshman, when they went to NYU, she's talking about how they had to like go around the room and say 3 things, like their favorite film, the best film they've ever seen, and the best film they haven't seen. And she said, I'd been the first in class to name a film made by a Black director. I had to highlight that because that's wild. My favorite part of a movie screening is at the end when the audience stays in their seats to watch the credits roll, when there's no jarring burst of diffused chatter or rushing towards the exit. Just a quiet audience paying respect to hundreds of mostly faceless names who made the movie magic they all just witnessed. I don't know why I like that one. I just did. Ooh, this was a good one. He gifts me with the kind of smile that, if only for a moment, feels entirely free of every piece of baggage flung between us. That, I can't wait to hear more about like what happened, like why did they not continue their relationship, or at least a friendship? Like, why? She had him blocked this whole time. Like, I need to know what this baggage is. Last one I'll read. Because he's your mirror, you see him and all your wants and desires reflect back on you. Then when he inevitably falls short of your high expectations, it's not just him you're disappointed in, it's also yourself for misplacing all that hope. I think her best friend's boyfriend cheated on her, and so they're like talking like, why? I don't know what they're saying, but it's like, why am I so upset? Well, because he's your mirror. You see him and all your wants and desires reflect back on you. Then when he falls short of your high expectations, you're not just disappointed in him, you're also disappointed in yourself for misplacing all that hope. And I'm like, that's crazy. And then the last thing I have highlighted on here is my least favorite word, guffawed. Why are we all using this word? Can we not? Because I only told you about one and can't get enough. There was a second one in the book. I can't. And I've now had 2 in this book already. I'm only 100 pages in. So like I said, we're kind of just slowly learning about their past, and they're working together in this movie, and she's giving him great feedback about the script so far. And in her reviewing of the script, we get to hear it. So that's also giving us the story of his parents meeting. Like I said, I definitely was struggling to get into a new book, but I said this in the last reading vlog. I think that's just, it is what it is. Like when you're starting a new book by a new author, like I don't know about you all, but I'm gonna struggle a little bit just getting used to the writing style and all of that. But last night I was on a roll. I was reading a lot. And I have, like, not a lot of time, but I know that the next chapter is only 5 minutes, so I think I am gonna sit a little bit and read before I have to go. Oh, there's somebody young working at the office, and they had a meeting, and people were being rude to her, to Kalia, the main character, and had her like sitting in a chair in a corner. And Danny just calls her and goes, I got filled in on what happened before I got to the production meeting. They're calling it Chairgate. I can't. Again, it's stupid, but like it's making me laugh. I'm enjoying this. I really am. I can't wait to read. Well, I bought her new release a couple weeks ago because I went to a black-owned bookstore, and you know, I can't go in there without buying anything. Like I have to support. And so I got her new release, having not read anything from her before. I just kind of went out on a limb, but I knew I wanted to read this one. It was in my Libby app. So I bought it, and now I'm excited to keep reading this and very excited to read that one because I heard good things. So stop distracting me. Let me get to it. Okay, I just made it to the 50% mark. So I am on page 170, and it says I have 3 hours and 26 minutes left in this book, and I'm going to try and finish it tonight. I don't know if that's crazy of me, but I need to speed this vlog up because I've been reading so slow. And I'm only on our second book, and I want to get to 4. So anyway, I'm 50% in, so I wanted to share some more thoughts before I try and finish it tonight and give my final review tomorrow. First, I feel like I should say I am enjoying it, but I'm struggling to remember details about their circumstances. Like, it's come up like 2 or 3 times that she came from like not a great household, / maybe her parents left her, / she was raised by her grandparents. And it's like not enough where like it sticks with me, like I can remember where she comes from. And I'm confused on like what the point of her having that backstory is without it being like a major like point in the story. Like I can see that maybe the reasoning is that he grew up with his parents having this great love that was like forbidden, and they fought for each other to be together, and they loved each other so much, and it was great for him to see that relationship, versus Kalia comes from not that. So I can see that being the reason, but it's kind of giving like surface level, and I'm not really a fan of that. I also noted that I love the scenes when they're at work, like at the production company doing whatever. Kalia now has like kind of built a friendship with the girl who like stole her job, the one who was like young, and what did she say before? Said something about, I don't know, I mentioned it before. And so their relationship is pretty funny, and like the girl can kind of see like the tension between Kalia and Danny. So I love the scenes when they're like working. And again, it's also interesting to hear like they're like doing casting for the actors that are going to play his parents. So like that's cool to hear about. It gets a little complicated with the flashbacks of them when they knew each other in college, and also the story of Danny's parents' love, which is the movie that they're working on. I love that we're getting like the multiple stories. I love like multiple stories being intertwined in a book or a movie or whatever, but it does get a little complicated, but it's fun. His girlfriend, Celine, is not a nice girl, and I hate her. She's so mean, and no spoilers, but it's just the perfect like stereotypical like the guy that we want our main character girl to be with is with like a mean girl. Why are they like that? Okay, so where I'm currently at 50% in, there's just like been a bunch of like misunderstandings going on with Kalia and Danny of like, well, we know what Kalia thinks obviously because we're in her head, but with Danny it's like, sir, like, are you attracted to me still? Like, do you still have feelings for me? Like, you're with this mean other girl, like, but you gave me this job. Like, I'm confused. Like, he's very loyal to his girlfriend, and he's like, you know, like they don't do anything inappropriate, they don't have any inappropriate conversations, but like, sir, you gotta give us something. Like, we need to know what's happening. So there's a lot of misunderstandings going on, and they just got to, like 3 pages ago, they just got to a point where they were like gonna have a conversation and like share their feelings, like get it all out there and be like, what is going on in your head, and they're interrupted. I hate when that happens, and that is such a reoccurring theme. All rom-coms, movies, books, all of that. But anyway, now Kalia is going on a date with someone else, which is like, I'm happy for her. Like, I'm glad like this person asked her out. I'm glad she just said yes and like is pushing herself to go on this date. But also, I need to know what's going on with Danny. It's what, 3 hours and 26 minutes. It's currently 8 o'clock. Sunday night, we just got back from Michigan for the weekend, which is why I look a little crazy. I'm in my robe. I'm gonna try and finish this, so we will see. Alright, I did finish When I Think of You last night. I read so much yesterday. I think I read, because what, I started yesterday on page 113, and the final page was 343. So, however many pages that is. 230. Crazy. But anyway, I have some final thoughts. I also wanted to talk about the level of spice, because I forgot to do this with Can't Get Enough by Kennedy Ryan. Wow, it's so hot in here. I just need a little bit of AC. That book was the spiciest book I've probably ever read. Can't Get Enough. Kennedy Ryan does like a lot of spice though. This book was very little spice. Like, I would say like 1 little red pepper of spice. So that's nice if you're not into that. I literally wrote the second half is a perfect rom-com. They like visited his mom for like to get like photos and memories and things for the movie. Sure. That was like gold. Like, I love a section of a book that's like going somewhere else. Whether it's like they're on vacation or they're on a work trip. Like, I love a trip in the middle of a book. Love his mom. Absolutely loved hearing from her conversation that she had with Kalia, Danny's mom, Minnie. She's that girl. We learned so much about what happened 7 years ago and why they kind of broke up. Not that they were ever really dating before, but we learned like the history, everything that happened back then, and basically just all the miscommunication that got them to this point. And then it almost became like an intense like thriller type of vibe, because there's things that were going on work-wise with his movie. So I was on the edge of my seat trying to be like, what's going to happen with this movie? Is it going to work out? Are they going to be able to do what they need to do? And a lot of their colleagues or whatever were just like trying to ruin his movie and completely change it, and I didn't like that. I will say though that it was giving very realistic. But it really did give Danny a taste of what Kalia deals with professionally, being a black woman in her profession, and, you know, maybe this being the reason why she hasn't gotten as far as he has, and it was kind of, you know, he got to see a little bit of that, so that was interesting. One thing that I know that a lot of people don't like is a third act breakup. I think that's what they call it. We did have a third act breakup, so if you're not a fan of that, maybe you wouldn't like this. I didn't mind it because I was just, you know, testing it out. It was fine. I mean, I kind of, like, could have done without the third act breakup. Like, come on. The romance was a little bit all over the place. And this did kind of connect to her past, which didn't really, like, it just kind of gave, like, okay, we needed something to be a reason for why she does what she does in relationships. And so I didn't really like that. But the story overall, I did enjoy. Happy ending, nothing special, but yeah. So I would say for When I Think of You by Maya Ariel, I would say maybe like a 4-star, 3.5, 4-star. I liked it. I am currently on my lunch break at work, and I'm outside of Barnes. So we're gonna go try and figure out what my next read is gonna be, and I'm excited. There's like no one here. I freaking love it. They don't have what I'm looking for, and that's gonna piss me off. We've got 3 options here. Okay, luckily there's not that many people here, but it's still so awkward to talk to a camera, so I'm hiding in a little children's corner. LOL. Anyway, I do not have in stock, honestly, one of the books that I like really want to read, but I think it's almost available on Libby. So that just made my decision a little bit easier. I'll definitely read that on Kindle. So I'll buy one physical book here, and then my last book will be that one on Kindle, which is still a secret. I'm going to try and be quick. The first one I got is Between Friends and Lovers, and I've heard honestly not great things about this, but then I was like still going to make an option, and when I was looking it up on TikTok last night, I heard only positive things. Also, I don't think it's supposed to be set in Chicago, but tell me this isn't Chicago. Josephine Boateng is a doctor, and she's also like an influencer, and I think it's kind of like a love triangle, but not. And again, you know, I like to go in kind of blind, so this one is a strong contender because also look at how beautiful the cover is. And she's an influencer, she's a doctor. I love it. And I haven't done many love triangles before. All right, we moved because there was a lady actually looking for children's books. How dare she interrupt me and do that? Anyway, the next book that I grabbed is The Neighbor Favor by Christina Forrest. Cute little cover. And I think she's doing like a trilogy, or maybe there's 4 books with like sisters. So like this girl has a book, her sisters all have different books. And I think this one is bookish, which how did I not know that based on the cover? But anyway, we're back in the children's section. She's apparently shy, bookish, and admittedly awkward. Lily Green has always felt inadequate compared to the rest of her accomplished family, who strive for black excellence. Oh, it's fake dating. Her sister's wedding, she needs a date, her neighbor. Okay, that's cute. But I've heard mixed reviews on this. A lot of people love it, and then other people are like, seriously, The Neighbor Favor was your favorite book? So I was really leaning away from this, but then I learned it was bookish and fake dating, and that's cute. So she's an option. And our last option has been on my list for a while. It's Get a Life, Chloe Brown. This one I know for sure has I think it's a trilogy again of sisters, because there's multiple Brown sisters, and I think the other 2 books are already out, but I'm pretty sure this was the first one. No idea what it's about. Chloe Brown is a chronically ill computer geek with a goal, a plan, and a list. After almost but not quite dying, she's come up with 7 directives to help her get a life, and she's already completed the first, finally moving out of her glamorous family's mansion. The next items: enjoy a drunken night out, ride a motorcycle, go camping, have meaningless but thoroughly enjoyable sex, travel the world with nothing but hand luggage, and do something bad. This is cute. Like, I want to read this, but I do also have it on hold on the Libby app. So do I need the physical copy? Maybe not. I think I will walk around a bit and hold these and figure out which one is speaking to me the most. Email is fine. Thank you. Have a good day. All right, I ended up picking Between Friends and Lovers by Shirlene Obuobi. We have a quote from Emily Henry. What a beautiful, emotionally generous, good-hearted book. I've heard there's some trigger warnings. Again, I don't like to know everything that's going to happen going into it. So if you're going to read this, you should probably look up the trigger warnings. Oh my gosh. If you're going to read this, you should probably look up the trigger warnings. It still doesn't sound right, but I know that's correct. I think there's like depression, possibly suicidal ideation. I don't know. But we have another quote from Allie Hazelwood. Sweet and steamy, perfectly written, overflowing with heart. Basically, I'll recommend this book for eternity. Why was I hearing bad things? I think the problem was that somebody didn't like that the other guy in this triangle was white, which I totally get. But that's not like a reason for me not to read it. Christina Lauren says, this book is spectacular. It is deft and voicey, sexy, and emotionally brilliant. I am honestly obsessed. Abby Jimenez says, meaty, complex, and steamy. Obuobi takes it all on. Cool. Another Riss M. Nielsen, author of A Love Like the Sun. I think I've seen this cover before, but I don't know the author. She says, a beautifully written depiction of being vulnerable enough to love deeply and to be loved that same way in return. Cute! When did this come out? This came out in 2024. Okay, I thought it was newer. For the strong girls, for the girls who seem to have it all together even when they're falling apart, for the Meg the Stallions of the world, who everyone knows how to consume but no one knows how to protect. You deserve to be cherished too. Okay. Love that dedication at the beginning. Okay, I don't even want to read more. I'm actually really excited to read this now. It looks thin, but it's still, well, actually, yeah, it's under 350. It's 340. Oh, just kidding. It's 350. Oh, there's literally nothing in the back. There's 1 page, 2 pages of acknowledgments, and that's it. Okay, so it's 354, which is not bad. I'm so excited to get home tonight after work and start this immediately. I'm in the same outfit from yesterday, but I'm clean. I just got back from rehearsal and I already did 1 meeting, but I need to work, obviously. But I wanted to talk about my first impressions of Between Friends and Lovers. I am currently at page 98. Like, this chapter ended on 98, so I will start on 99 tonight when I read. But I have actually like a lot of thoughts for first impressions, more than I did for the other 2 books. So let me share. First of all, it is very much indeed set in Chicago. So I don't know who I heard from on Google that said it wasn't set in Chicago, because it very much is. And also I looked up the author and she lives here in Chicago. She's not from here, but she lives here. She's like in school. I think she's actually like a doctor. Oh no, she did grow up in Chicago. Oh no, she grew up all over, in Chicago, Hot Springs, Arkansas, and the Woodlands, Texas. Yeah, when she isn't in the hospital. So yeah, she's a cardiologist, a cartoonist, and an author. My mom just called me. But anyway, it does take place in Chicago. Literally the party that they're at is at Ezra's family's penthouse in Gold Coast. So basically our main character is Josephine. Everyone calls her Jo. She is a doctor. I actually don't really know exactly what kind of doctor she is, but she's not currently practicing because she's like a doctor influencer. That's number 1. I wrote, love how it started right in the middle of some drama. Like, literally, let me read you. It was actually crazy. Surviving as a Black girl in high society is pretty easy as long as you know the rules. 1, arrive with your pedigree at ready. I'm going to skip a little bit. 2, be intentional with your hair. There's a whole paragraph about that. 3, adopt a standard Midwestern accent. And most importantly, number 4, never ever make a white woman cry, because white women's tears are salt sowed into fertile land. The fertile land being your friendships, your peace, your livelihood, and whatever else you may hold dear. Then she goes, all this to say I was screwed. Ashley Biernacki and I stood facing each other in the atrium of the international supermodel Renata's lavishly decorated Gold Coast penthouse, where we had both been invited to celebrate her son, TV actor Ezra's 30th birthday, at a party funded by her husband, blah, 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 blah. I was here because Ezra's my best friend. Ashley was here because Ezra was her boyfriend. And because karma doesn't exist, she'd only become more beautiful since our last encounter, 16 years ago, when she called me a gorilla for refusing to let her copy my homework. What? This is the first page, you guys. So basically, Jo, our main character, is at her best friend Ezra's 30th birthday party that his and he's an actor, and his mom is like a retired supermodel. They always have these like crazy parties, and it's his 30th birthday, and the mom's hosting this party. She's there obviously because she's his best friend, and his new girlfriend, he dates people, this is like girlfriend number 10, is there, and this is their first time meeting, and she happens to be this girl that bullied Jo like when they were kids. Crazy. So I love how we start right in some drama. It was like a great entrance and like a twisted way to introduce the characters, because just there we got Jo, our main character, we got Ezra, his mom, and also Ezra's girlfriend. It's dual point of view, question mark, because Jo's chapters are in the first person. She's like, I did this, I did that. And then we've unlocked a new character, Malcolm, and he has his own chapters, but they're in the third person. It's like Malcolm did this, and then he went and did this, and then he saw Jo, and da-da-da. And I'm kind of confused on how they switch back and forth, but to me that just makes me feel closer to Jo, which I'm not mad about. Oh, my bagels are ready. So Malcolm is an author, and he was invited to this birthday party by Ezra's mom because she basically wants to turn his book into a movie. She read his novel and really liked it. She invited him to this party. He's like a nervous wreck. And so he's at the party, like looking for Renata, the mom, but can't find her and gets all nervous and whatever. And so he goes into a room to like calm his nerves or whatever. And it ends up being Joe's like guest room that she has at their house because, again, she's been friends with Ezra for a very long time and the mom loves her and she like has a room at their house. Kind of weird, but I guess it's fine. And so Joe walks in, she's like, what are you doing here? So they get to talking. Turns out Malcolm has been following Joe for like a long time, and they actually have had like little conversations in the DMs before. And Joe's kind of in a dilemma because she has had feelings for Ezra this whole entire time, but never told him. And so she like has like no experience with guys at all. She's 29, I believe, and she's like still a virgin, never, I don't know if she's kissed, I think she's kissed a boy before. But basically she's been living her life waiting for Ezra to realize that they should be together. So when she's having this conversation with Malcolm in her like guest bedroom, and she kind of is attracted to him and obviously just got into this sort of like fight with Ezra and his new girlfriend, she kind of just says, forget Ezra, like I'm gonna start a little something with Malcolm. So that's kind of how the story starts, and I love it. I'm here for all the drama. I didn't even think about this until right now, but I have had no problems getting into the flow of reading this book. I say this all the time. Every time I start a new book, I like am all of a sudden illiterate and can't understand a sentence without reading it 5 times. But I just realized that I didn't have any trouble starting this book. Another thing I noticed is the trope of like the girl coming from a bad family. In the last book, When I Think of You, that I just read, she, like, her parents had left her and she lived with her grandma, whatever. In this book, we don't know much about it, but we know it was a bad situation. She like filed for emancipation at 16. Meanwhile, the boys come from rich families. And I know that in the last book, his dad was white. And in this book, Ezra is white. But like, why do we have to do that? Another piece of content that I have recently consumed is the show on Netflix, Forever. And they're both black, but again, Keisha comes from a family that has way less than Justin, who is like rich. And why do the girls always have to be poor? Why do the girls always have to be down bad? Anyway, a few things that stood out to me on page 58, I wrote, Joe and Malcolm are on a date and she's like being so rude, and I was confused and I was like, what is happening? Like, why is she being so rude? She's like, does it bother you that I don't cook? I'll probably make more than you when I start practicing again. Does that bother you? I don't know, but she just like had a really bad attitude, and I was like, where did this come from? Like, this is not Joe. Like, this is not her. And then Malcolm said something about it. He's like, what's going on here? Like, why are you being like this? And I was like, thank God, because I thought our author just like turned on us and changed our character. So that was interesting. And then I also put on 65, Malcolm explains that he doesn't just want to have sex with her, because she's kind of seeing Malcolm as a way to like get that experience and also maybe make Ezra jealous. I mean, she's a girl on a mission, but Malcolm is like, we've talked about this before, you know, online. Virginity is just a social construct and sex is just a physical act. You can go out to Viagra Triangle right now and find some guy who'll be willing to sleep with you, then roll over a few minutes later feeling completely unchanged and totally let down. But wanting someone for more than just their physicality, wanting to hear from them, speak to them, see them every second of the day, that's what I want for myself. It's what I want for you too, especially since you're new to this. And if we can find together, great. But I'm not taking anything less. And then she's like, okay, cool, let's do it. So I love that for Malcolm, and I love that for Joe. And then last thing that I want to say is Ezra, the best friend, is kind of throwing me off because he's like, I guess he had previously said to her, I would be lucky if anyone even thought I was yours or you were mine, because I think they've been asked before when they're like walking together, whatever, like, oh, like, are you guys together? And I guess people think like he can do better than her, whatever. So he says that to her, like, I would be lucky, but then dates all these other girls that don't look like her at all. And then he's always sure to let red carpets or whoever know, oh, this is just my best friend. I'm confused. Like, it's not giving genuine. Because it's like he's ashamed of her? What's with that? So yeah, I don't like him. But I like Malcolm, and I love our girl Joe. Joe's kind of in a quarter-life crisis right now because she, like, once she started making a lot of money from social media, she kind of put her practice dreams on hold, and she just kind of keeps putting it off and pushing it further and further. A lot of people don't really get it, like a lot of her like mentors or whatever. But yeah, I'm just interested to see like what happens with her career-wise. And obviously I'm also interested to see if this does turn into a love triangle with Joe and Malcolm and Ezra. So I'm enjoying this. That's all I have to say. And thank God I doubled back and did some more research, because when I first heard like not so great things, then I immediately just like wasn't even going to consider it. But I'm loving it. And I'm 100 pages in. Again, there's like 355 or something. So I think I could finish this like tomorrow night. Alright, don't ask me how, but I somehow finished this book. And I guess it was 3 days technically. But yesterday I read basically 200 pages and I didn't know if I was gonna make it, but I did. So I finished this, and while I was reading it, I was kind of like, oh, this is not gonna be 5-star. And then at the end, I was like, I really enjoyed this. Like, I would read this again to see what else I could get from it. So I feel like it's like a 4.5. I really like the second half. Let me share my thoughts. Because wherever we left off, I think I only gave my first impression. So sorry I left you like kind of hanging with this book. So I want to say that something that I didn't really like, but then maybe liked, is how she goes back and forth between past tense and present tense, just like without a warning. It can get a little bit like, wait, whose point of view am I in right now? Like, when did this happen? But it also is nice to kind of be like, oh, so that's why they act that way. Or like, oh, okay, so this is what really went down when that happened. If you know what I mean. So that I just thought was interesting. I actually found a lot of connections between this book, Between Friends and Lovers, and the last book that I read, When I Think of You, on the Kindle. The first thing I noticed was that the artist, Bisa Butler, was mentioned. In When I Think of You, it was when they went to visit Danny's mom's house. And then in this book, wait, did I make that up? When did that happen in this book? That happened at some point in this book as well. So I thought that was interesting. And I also just love that I know who that is and that I've seen their work, I think at the Art Museum here in Chicago, which is also amazing that this book is set in Chicago. I think that's part of the reason that I liked it a lot. On page 155, Malcolm thinks back to therapy sessions and his relationship with his ex and communicates with Joe. Love it. There was a lot of that. There was a lot of like growth and things we learned in therapy and making sure we're communicating with our partner. Love to see that. Okay, where it got complicated was we learned more about Joe's past and her relationship with her mom and her friendship with her roommate and how they connect over moving and fear. They both are no longer in contact with their parents, or their moms at least, so that's sad. One thing I didn't like is I felt like the love triangle literally came out of nowhere. Like, Ezra was her best friend, and then all of a sudden she told him she had feelings for him, and then she met Malcolm, and all of a sudden we're in a love triangle. Like, it just wasn't really, like, it wasn't a real love triangle. Not that it wasn't a real love triangle, it was just that it came out of nowhere, and I didn't like that. Another connection between this book and When I Think of You is the way that Joe and Ezra met in college. Kind of given the same vibe as Danny and Kalia when they met in college. Basically, like, him being kind of like famous, like well known, because Danny's dad was a filmmaker and Ezra's parents are both famous. So them in school, like everyone else kind of knows who they are, but the girls just like don't really pay them any mind, and so the boys kind of like become obsessed with her. Same type of vibe. On page 245, I got a guffaw. There was also one in When I Think of You. I don't know if I mentioned that. I think it's gonna become my purpose in life to discover how many guffaws I can find in books. Romance books. That's my new purpose. I found it. Congratulations to me. So in the first half, I felt like her mom issues were mentioned like twice. Her depression was mentioned like 2 or 3 times, but it wasn't a main topic. So I was kind of getting confused because I had heard that this book talked a lot about like trauma, depression, all of that. So I was kind of like, but where is it? Because we're only slightly mentioning it a little bit. I have the worst itch under my boob. Like, what is happening? The second half, we were depressed. The second half, I discovered it. And now looking back, I'm like, oh, I like how we got to where it was like kind of mentioned, but not really like the main focus. And so then when it did come on full force, it wasn't like, where is this coming from? It was like, oh my gosh, she's been like pushing this down
for the whole first half of the book. I also wrote, this is so funny reading my notes like after, because I also, like, if I would have given you the halfway point thoughts, it would have been a completely different conversation, because I literally wrote, still haven't found out what they mean by Joe saved his life when they first met, or years ago or whatever. And then literally 100 pages later, I'm writing, in the last 20 pages, we learn about when Joe saved Ezra's life, finally. But yeah, some stuff went down. Joe's depression came out full force. Luckily, she had her roommate and one of the boys, I won't give it away, to take really good care of her. And I love to see that, because they really got her through it. It was also interesting that while her and Ezra were BFFs, it's clear that he never fully knew the extent of her depression, and that's crazy. But yeah, it finishes pretty positively, which is expected, but I really enjoyed it. Also, this cover is beautiful. Like, it really is. 354 pages. I would read this again, and I like never reread books, but I would read this again. I liked it. I'm charging my Kindle because she finally is at like 20%. It's taken weeks and weeks and weeks. Oh, and it's already at 92. Wow, and I literally just plugged it in. But we are now going to move on to the next book. I'm really excited about this one. I have to get it from my Libby app and get it on here. We've got 2 days to read this, but I think it's under I think it's under 300 pages, so I think I can do it. I mean, I don't have a choice because I want to finish it for this vlog and discuss. I have to log into Manny's Amazon. Keep me signed in. Seriously? I really should just get my own Amazon, but it's like too late now. But every time I log in, they have to send a code to his number. I wonder if he could turn that off, because like he's at work and I'm texting him for an Amazon passcode while I wait for him to get me into Amazon so that I can get the Libby book into the Amazon account so I can go on your Kindle, because if you didn't know, that's how it works. Wait, this is so funny. Now it's like Kindle Unlimited based on your reading, and it's all these Black romance books, and then another category based on your reading, or more like When I Think of You. And it's literally, wait, let me turn my brightness up. Oh, he sent it. Here it is. I'll get back to what I was just saying, but now it's in my library, and now I just have to open it so the cover will actually work. I will be reading Only for the Week by Natasha Bishop. I've heard so many good things about this, and it's actually a series, the Forever Falling series. I did not know that, but on the Kindle, it just told me it was only 240 pages. Yes, I can do that today and tomorrow, obviously. This book, again, I don't know a lot about it, but I know that we are in Tulum for somebody's wedding. It's our main character's sister's wedding, and she happens to be marrying our ex. Don't know how we got there, but we're gonna find out, and we're in Tulum. So, and it's only 240 pages. I just know we're gonna enjoy this. So we're gonna get to that. But I also wanted to say, Kindle Unlimited based on your reading. It's like, I don't know a lot of these, but like they're literally all, if you can see, like all these romance books with Black characters. I love that. Same, based on your reading. I literally have this book in my room. The love lyric, that was one of the sisters from The Neighbor Favor. Between Friends and Lovers, Can't Get Enough. Like, I love like the sun. I think that was one of the quotes on the Between Friends and Lovers book. So the partner plot, I think that's the other sister from The Neighbor Favor. Oh, similar to your last read book. I just love this. They really know what they're doing. But I have to go. I'll start reading this later, and I'll make sure to include you. Okay, I just started this book. I read, I think, only the first chapter. Yes, I read the first chapter. It was long. 18 pages in, and it's dual point of view. When I learned that it was dual point of view just a couple minutes ago, too excited. And I'm opening a brand new road because I'm about to go to a little like event. But anyway, I wanted to share my first impressions. Like I said, literally only 18 pages in, but there's only 221 pages actually. I was reading somewhere that there was 240. That must include other stuff. Like I said, our main character, Janelle, she is heading to Tulum for her little sister, or no, actually her sister's older. It's her older sister's birthday. Oh my God, am I okay? It's not her sister's birthday. Her sister's getting married to Janelle's ex, Arnold, I believe is his name. Is that really his name? Yes, his name is Arnold, and her sister's name is Marie. So we learned that basically she was dating a guy, Arnold. Everyone thinks like, oh my gosh, like how could your sister do that to you? Like, it must have been a bad breakup, whatever. And she's like, no, it literally wasn't. Like, we knew we weren't good for each other, whatever. So she like doesn't care. I think it was actually her idea to break up. So whatever, all good. They have a friend group. Her and her sister are best friends, and they have two other friends. And then our main character is the maid of honor. And so the whole friend group is getting on the plane to go to Tulum. And they're like in the airport, you know, meeting up, whatever. And she's telling us, obviously, everybody who's coming, her sister, the two friends, the guys that are coming. Obviously, she sees her ex, Arnold. And then the best man, Rome. You know, if you're in a book and somebody's name is Rome, that's it. We're done. I knew he was going to be our love interest, our male main character. And she says that when she was dating Arnold, Rome was the one that she spent the least amount of time with. She doesn't know why, but she always felt like he was avoiding her. Like they would just miss each other at, bless you, they would just miss each other at Arnold's events. Like Rome would skip game night, stuff like that. And she thought it was kind of weird. Like, why is he like avoiding me? But obviously she was dating Arnold, so she was like, whatever. All the men are attractive. She's telling us they're all very, very attractive. She described all of them. Beautiful black men. Love to see it. But apparently Rome is 10 out of 10. I'm thinking that it's going to be obvious that the reason that he was always avoiding her was because he was attracted to her. I mean, because why else would be the reason? And just like the chemistry that they have, unmatched. So anyway, there's a little bit of drama because everyone else is in first class except for Janelle, our main character, and like her closer friend in the group, Evie, and they're just sitting economy or whatever you call it, how I fly. So they're getting on the plane, whatever, and then all of a sudden Rome like wants to sit with them. He's like, is the seat empty? Like, I gave somebody else my seat. Long story. But so he's sitting with her on the plane. So we know something's gonna go down. And they're just talking, getting to know each other a little bit, and I'm obsessed with him. And she's obsessed with him as well. And I also think that he's obsessed with her. And so I'm excited to see where this is gonna go. But basically where I left off, they just landed in Cancun and they like have to drive to Tulum or whatever. And so the girls are going in one car and the boys are all going in a different car. And then I get to this second chapter, the first page of chapter 2. And it says that it's Rome's point of view. And I'm jumping for joy because I was unaware that this was dual point of view. And I love when we get to hear from the guys. It's just, and I love a man written by a woman. That's really what it is. Those are my first thoughts. I'm very excited, and it's even shorter than I thought, and I'm already 18 pages in, so I'm on a roll. And I'm gonna go to this dinner, and then I'm gonna come home, and I'm gonna read to 50% of the book. So that's the plan. I'll let you know how it goes. Cheers. Happy National Donut Day. So my Kindle tells me I'm 48% in, but I know I must be at least 50%, if not more, because I'm on page 122. And in here it says there's only 221 pages. On like Goodreads and other things it says 240. So either way, I'm 50%. It says I have 2 hours and 35 minutes left. But I have some thoughts, obviously, since I'm halfway now. Oh wait, I put some notes in here actually. Okay, so when we finally got to Rome's point of view in the second chapter, the first thing I wrote is this man is obsessed with her. In his chapter, we learn that I have a pimple patch on, so just please ignore. I'm really struggling lately. But in his chapter, we learn that he's been mesmerized with her since day one when he first met her, but she was obviously introduced as Arnold's girlfriend at the time, so he was sick about that. Like I thought, he purposely was like avoiding her and trying to keep distance because he like was very attracted to her. He even went as far as to block his friend Arnold's Instagram posts so that he wouldn't be like triggered when he saw pictures of them together. So just to kind of paint the picture. The book in general is a very, very, very easy read. Like it's just flowing, it's quick, it's not, how would I say, like it's not giving immature at all, but it's like the pacing and the ease of it is very much like YA, like easy to read, nothing hard about it. However, I did write that the way that Rome speaks, I mean, clearly he is a man written by a woman, but it's not really realistic. One of the first things he says, the hotel we're staying in, the Dahlia Resort, is absolutely insane. Men don't speak like that. They don't say absolutely insane. Yeah, I don't think, like, they don't say that. He also, 2 pages after that, they're at dinner, and he's obviously seeing Janelle, and he's talking about how pretty she looks, whatever. She has on a brown long sleeve wrap crop top with a matching maxi skirt. They wouldn't know how to even describe that, you know? So that's not giving realistic. I do love how Rome notices how Janelle is like suppressing all of the feelings that she gets when her sister Amory, did I make that up? I think her sister's name is Amory, because they're at this dinner and Amory keeps bringing up like, oh, like Janelle, did you remember to do this or did you remember to do that? Because she's obviously the maid of honor. But it's like that's been done. We've already talked about it. Like, why are you bringing it up? It's almost like she's just bringing things up because we're like out having fun and I'm enjoying myself, and you just want to remind me that you like have something to hold over me for the week because I can't like go off on you because it's your wedding week. That's kind of what the sister's giving, and Janelle is like, you can see that she's clearly like wants to go off on her, but she's not allowing herself to do that for the week, and Rome is noticing that, and I love that about him. It's very quick how Rome and Janelle like get together. I wouldn't say the insta love of it is like bothering me because clearly we understand they've known each other for a while, like just through mutuals obviously, and they've already been attracted to each other. So the insta love isn't bothering me because, you know, that gets me sometimes. Literally the first night they're together. That's not really a spoiler, but they come up with this idea of only for the week because they are in Tulum for 2 weeks, but the rest of the family and friends and wedding guests aren't coming till the second week. All the friends and like the bridal party decided to go the week prior, just to have a week to like have vacation. So Janelle doesn't want to be like hooking up with Rome when her parents are there and everyone else is there. She's just like, they're not gonna be able to keep it a secret. It's gonna be too much. So they only have this week to like be together. So that's where we get the title of the book. Love that. It's cute, whatever. Love a pact because we know somebody's gonna ruin it. That's just, it's a good trope. One of the first ever impressions I had of this book, like the first time I'm hearing of this book, is from Shaughnessy. Love her videos. And I've heard her actually multiple times, 2 different times, talk about, oh my gosh, in this book, he literally like rents a yacht for her just so that she can spend some time like relaxing and reading her book. And so obviously when I got to that scene, I was just LOLing because I was thinking of Shaughnessy and like how I first found out about this book. I think this is one of her favorites. The chapters are extremely long. I just started chapter 8 and it's 21 minutes in this chapter. I've had like 25, I've had like 14, which 14 isn't bad obviously. I mean, even 21 isn't bad, but I'm looking for like 14 max. I'm looking for like a 9-minute chapter. These are long. Also, this chapter 8 starts part 2, the storm. Part 1 was the calm, I think, which makes sense, obviously. So I don't know what's gonna happen. I feel like there's gonna be some wedding drama, and I'm down for that. I love wedding drama. Her sister is not nice, and I don't know why she's acting like this. Janelle keeps saying like, because they're like best friends. I mean, they're sisters, they're close in age, they have the same friend group, but her sister is just being not nice. This book is extremely spicy. It's a lot, and I think I'm all spiced out for the week. Like, I think after this vlog, I don't need any more spice in my life, because what did we read first? Can't Get Enough was extremely spicy. Then we went to When I Think of You, which was like a normal, a bit demure, very considerate amount of spice. Same with Between Friends and Lovers. A little bit of spice, nothing crazy. This one, almost unnecessarily spicy. I'm sorry. I'm all spiced out. But I'm gonna try and finish this, like I said. I think 2.5 hours left, which is probably gonna be literally like 5-6 chapters because they're so long. Let's get to it. Just said, I haven't taken the time I probably should have as Arnold's friend getting to know Amory, but I'm unimpressed with what I've seen during this trip and what I saw during the engagement party. Period, because she's rude. Like, why is she acting like this? Basically, she lost her ring and she's flipping out. Everyone needs to help look for it. And Arnold just says to her, why don't you go lay down? We'll look for it. And Rome's thinking, oh, we will? Will we? Again, I don't know if this is realistic for a gentleman to be speaking like this and thinking like this, but I love it. I just finished Only for the Week. It ended up being like 2:19. There were some bonus chapters at the end, but I don't really feel like I need to read that. I read the epilogue, you know, what more do I need? I would say probably 4 stars, which is what I rate every single book ever. But I liked it. It was quick, it was simple. I mean, I don't really know what else to say. I do think it was unrealistic as a whole, and I usually don't like to say that about romance books because Kennedy Ryan taught me that we shouldn't think it's unrealistic for like whatever's happening in these romance books to happen in real life, but this was quite unrealistic, and I'm gonna stick to that. The second half really flew by. The whole thing was quick. I mean, clearly I started it yesterday, but the second half there was, as I expected, there was quite some drama with the wedding, but obviously I can't give any spoilers away. I'd say I would recommend, but it was unnecessarily spicy. I guess that concludes this reading vlog. We did 4 books. I can't believe it. I'm probably gonna need a break from looking at words on paper or my Kindle. Definitely gonna need a break from spice. I'm really happy with the books that I picked, and I think that next, like, I'm gonna take a break from romance books for a while because I just need that. But I do know that I still want to read the new release from Ariel that I actually have. It's called No Ordinary Love. I still want to read Real from Kennedy Ryan. I have that on my Kindle. I feel like there's something else. Oh, I don't know if I want to read The Neighbor Favor, but maybe I will. Definitely want to read Get a Life, Chloe Brown. But honestly, the 4 that I read were the ones I really wanted to get to, so we did good. One thing that's crazy is that out of the 4 books that I read, I obviously can't say which 3, but 3 of them ended in proposals. And that to me is just kind of like, I don't know. Like the first proposal, I was like, okay, cute. Actually, no, not even the first one. I was kind of just like, really? Like, is that, like, was it necessary? I feel like no, but that is all she wrote. I'm hoping to get this vlog up literally tomorrow, so we'll see how that goes, because I was planning on posting on Wednesday as I always do, but there's just too many words, too many books to be read, so a couple days behind, but that's fine. Thanks so much for watching, and I'll see you next week. Bye.